What's up, y'all? It's your man, That Dude, bringing you guys another video. So I've been seeing a lot of talk online about the Panthers trading for Trey Lance. And as someone who, when Trey Lance was coming out of North Dakota State, I didn't see really why he was going so highly in the draft. Like, I saw the physical talent, don't get me wrong. The guy's tall, he's big, he's fast, he has a cannon for an arm, he has all the physical traits. But in college, there wasn't much to go off on from his college tape. So I just didn't see why he was so hyped. But just as a physical prospect, I get it. And the Panthers could maybe acquire him for a second or a third round pick because I don't think that San Fran will be able to demand much for him. But I would much rather get a quarterback coming out of the draft this year than trade for Trey Lance. And I'm not someone who sold really on any of the quarterbacks coming out this year in the draft. But I'd much rather gamble on them than gambling on a guy who is going into his third year in the league. So let's say you trade for Trey Lance, right? He's going into year 3. You trade for him, Trey Lance plays reasonably well. Now you only really have him for a year, maybe 2 years before you got to pay him a lot of money. And one of the benefits of getting a good rookie quarterback is you have them cheap for 4 to 5 years. And then that gives you the chance to build the roster around them. And you have a window of those 4 to 5 years where you can build up the weapons on the defense and the offense, give them a bunch of skill talent around them. You can make a run that way. And then once you pay the quarterback a lot of money, your window's still open. But now the hard decisions come. Okay, who are we going to pay here? Who are we going to pay there? Are we going to, get a really good receiver, or are we going to get a really good offensive tackle? You got to make decisions when you pay your quarterback a lot of money. Really tough decisions. With a rookie quarterback who's on a cheap rookie deal, that gives you a chance to build your roster without having to make a lot of tough decisions. You still got to allocate your money wisely, but it gives you a lot more leeway. With Trey Lance, he's already going into year 3. He's already used up 2 of his years, and he's proven himself to not be very reliable when it comes to injuries. The guy misses a lot of time with injuries. Now, maybe that's just 2 freak injuries, and the guy will have a long, healthy career after this, but I wouldn't bet on it. Coming after 2 years of getting hurt and missing the majority of the seasons and for 2 years, I wouldn't take that risk. I'd much rather get a quarterback coming out of the draft this year. And also, another reason why I wouldn't be down with taking Trey Lance or trading for Trey Lance is that Trey Lance was considered a project when he came out of the draft. The guy hasn't been able to play much, so I doubt he's had much development for when he was still considered a project. People thought that you would have to get Trey Lance. It'd be a couple of years before he really rounded out to a NFL caliber quarterback or someone who could utilize his skills on the NFL level. That was the knock for him coming out of college. He had all the physical traits, all the talent, but he was a project. I'm not going to trade for a project going into year 3 who I'm then going to have to pay after another couple of seasons if he does play well. And then if you trade for him, his development has been stunted. So he's still going to be a project. He's still going to need some work. If you trade for him and he needs another season, a season and a half, or a season or 2 to develop, then what? You put this time into developing someone you traded for, and now you're put in a tough spot of, do you give him a contract or not? I don't think that is a situation I'd want my team to be in. I'd much rather draft, let's say, Anthony Richardson or, God forbid, Will Levis in the draft this year. Both are considered projects, but they're projects that you would have for 4 or 5 years on a rookie contract. Or if you trade for Trey Lance, you only have him for 2 years, or 2 or 3 years on a rookie contract because he's going into year 3, or he will be going into year 3. I'm on 2 to 3 years on a rookie contract, depending on whether you gave him the 5th year option or not. Whereas if you drafted a quarterback this year, you'd have them for 4 or 5 years on a rookie contract. So let's say they take 2 years to fully develop. You still have 2 to 3 years left on that cheap rookie deal. Where Trey Lance, given that he hasn't really played at all over his first 2 seasons, if he needs another season or 2 to develop, that's a lot of wasted time you have in a guy. And then you have to give him a contract if you want to keep him after you put all that time into trading for him and developing him. So to me, it makes a lot more sense that if the project guy is what you want, get your project in the draft this year. You're going to have more time with him. He's going to be younger. He's going to have less wear and tear on the body because Trey Lance has had 2 back-to-back season-ending injuries. And it's going to be cheaper for your team in the short term because they're going to be on a 4 or 5 year deal, whereas Trey Lance is coming in with a 3-year deal. I just think it makes sense to get your project in the draft this year if a project is what you want. Now, if you want somebody who is ready to start right away, like your Bryce Jones or your CJ Strouds, then again, it doesn't make sense to trade for Trey Lance because Trey Lance is still seen as a project. I just don't see where it's worth it. The guy has undeniable talent. Again, cannon for arm, big, strong, fast, all that, yada, yada, yada. You know, I just don't think it makes sense to trade for him. And I think it will be a waste. I don't say a waste of a draft pick because the Panthers, I think the Panthers could get him for a 2nd or 3rd round pick. But I think it just makes more sense to try to get your project in the draft this year. The only way I can really get behind it is if, let's say, the Panthers do manage to get Sean Payton and they have to send their 1st round pick to the Saints. Then maybe if you got Sean Payton and Sean Payton is high on Trey Lance and he believes in Trey Lance's abilities and he believes he can develop him quickly, then okay. Then yeah, maybe you send that 2nd or 3rd round pick for Trey Lance if Sean Payton really believes in him. Someone who we know has an eye for quarterbacks or who can develop a quarterback. If Sean Payton believes in Trey Lance, make the deal. I wouldn't be mad at it at that point. But besides that, I just don't think it's wise to trade for Trey Lance, given that if the project is what you want, you can find a project in the draft this year. If someone who's ready to start right now is what you want, I don't think that's Trey Lance. So it would make more sense to either get that in the draft this year or just maybe stay with Matt Corral or PJ Walker and then try to get a quarterback in the draft in 2024. I just don't think trading for Trey Lance makes a lot of sense, even though the guy, again, is very talented. There's no denying that. I just don't think trading for him makes sense for the Panthers. That's what I have for you on this one, guys. If you enjoyed this video, go hit that thumbs up. And if you are so inclined, subscribe and leave a comment. I respond to almost everything. And I'll see you guys in the next one.